Well, hello and welcome everyone. Wanted to welcome you to the City of Kalamazoo's webinar. And I also wanted to let everyone know that we are recording today. We're going to share out this link, and we're also recording so that this can be a resource to our community and our development community in the future. We're excited today to cover development process updates that are happening here in 2025. And I wanted to start with just some housekeeping items for our webinar today. So you're going to see at the bottom of your screen here in the window, you should see if you hover down to the bottom that there is a Q&A box. If you anytime during this webinar want to click on that Q&A and type in any questions you have, we're going to save these questions till the end. But we have Assistant City Planner Bobby Durkee. He's going to help facilitate our questions and answers at the end. He's going to help us with any of the questions, and we will answer those at the very end. So we'll have our panelists here answer any of those questions. So again, feel free to type those into that chat box anytime during the presentation, and we'll make sure your questions get answered. I want to start out by just thanking all of the participants today. Really, we want to thank you for all of the work that you do every day in really improving our city. My name is Jamie McCarthy. Um, I'm joined by several of our staff today in the Community Planning and Economic Development Department, and I'll be introducing those staff in just a few minutes. If we can advance to the next slide. Thank you. Today, we're really going to be covering three different things. And I'm really going to get us kicked off here, and then I'm going to hand it off to our staff. But we're going to do a reintroduction to staff. I think these are folks that you're familiar with, that you've worked with for a while now. But we're really reorganizing some of our staff around three specific stages of the development process. And today, you're going to hear about these three stages. It's really three steps in the development process. And our goal here is really to streamline the process and our really for our staff and for our applicants. And as we walk you through this process change, we're going to talk about what's different, what you're going to see different, and how the process is going to work just a little bit differently in 2025. Next slide, please. So let me just start off by reintroducing our staff, which again, I think you're very familiar with, or many of you have worked with these staff for a while now. And I'm going to talk to you about a little bit about the role changes, and then I'm going to let them jump in and introduce the different stages of the development process that they're working on specifically. To start out with, PJ Thuringer is our development administrator. This is a new role and really stepping into this also new stage, the sort of first step in development, which we're calling pre-development. And I'm going to let him talk about, he's going to walk through what the pre-development stage looks like and what's involved in that, the services that are offered in that step of the development process. After the pre-development step, we enter into site plan review. I think you're all very familiar with that. You're going to learn about some of the changes in that two-meeting process. Emily Shemansky is still one of our city planners and in charge of that process. Emily's going to tell you about changes for 2025 that you're going to see. And then the third step in the process is your building permits and occupancy stage. And we have Roger Iverson, the building official, here to tell you about some of those changes. So with that, I'd like to introduce PJ to step in and tell you more about the pre-development step.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We've been looking at this for quite a while, and I've been with the city for about 4 years and involved in this process. And we realized that oftentimes people will come in through inefficient channels. You might come in and your first call might be to the zoning administrator to check zoning on a project, or it might be to Jamie in Brownfield redevelopment to check about incentive possibilities for your project. We found that this was kind of inefficient for you and for our staff in that we didn't have a point of contact that maybe got a lot of information on the front end. So people were kind of working blind and didn't understand timelines and the like. And so our hope is that, or our wish is that by doing this, we can have more efficiency for you and for internal staff. So by coming through one door, it allows me to be the your customer service rep that gives you access to all of our internal staff. Um, and so it just eliminates a lot of running around for you and for others. So we've broken this, as Jamie said, into three stages of development: pre-development, which is any project that you're coming in. Maybe it's a build out of a commercial space, maybe it's a brand new building, but you have to come in to us first to talk about incentives, to talk about whatever it may be. Um, it allows me, and then I can share with others to understand your project, where it is, and then it doesn't, honestly, then it doesn't get lost. You're not asking a person thinking you're getting all the answers. You know that you're asking the right person. And so, three stages of development: pre-development, site plan, and permits and occupancy. It allows Emily and her staff in the site plan process to be able to focus on your project. It allows Roger and his team to focus on permits and occupancy as well. Um, I've kind of answered the third one as far as focusing on a front door. Thank you, Jamie. So you start with me. There is an intake form on our website. If you just search um, intake form or under development, you can find it as well. Um, it allows me to identify all the needs, or all the needs might come up that you have. Maybe you just need an answer on whether or not you need to go to site plan. We can figure that out on the front end. I can get answers to zoning questions for you. We can begin to discuss possible tax abatements or zoning other incentives like brownfield redevelopment authority money. Um, we can then, maybe you just have a couple of questions and we want to have a project meeting, and you can sit down with some of our regulatory staff and get some answers to a stormwater question. It just, we're trying to tailor it to make it so it's more efficient for you. Um, Step two is site plan review. You apply for that. Um, and Emily, I'll let her go into that when we get a little bit further on in the presentation. And as you all probably know, this is review based on codes and regulations. Um, then step three, building process, permits and occupancy. You apply for a building permit. It is code and regulatory based, and you then work with Roger and his team. Pre-development phase. Anything outside of site plan review and building permit process. I want to talk about this a little bit in that sometimes there's even questions. Let's say you've come through and you've gone and you've got site plan approval, and now you need to worry about permits and occupancy. You can call me still, and I can help facilitate those conversations internally with Roger and his team. Oftentimes, they are a hardworking, not huge team, and they are out in the field doing inspections. And how do you get those answers you need? Maybe we have another project review meeting, more of a pre-construction project review meeting, to get those answers you need. So I am available at any part outside of permits and occupancy and outside of site plan to assist you. That being said, so you can contact me by phone, you can contact me by email, you can fill out the pre-development form on our website. I will contact you within 48 hours. We'll schedule an on-site visit to talk through the project and determine possible issues and questions that you may have for next steps. Um, as I stated earlier, maybe there's a couple things you want answered. We've had a recent group that has been working through fire protection and occupancy for a very old building. We've met with them like 3 or 4 times as we've worked through all of the things that they need to answer before they come forward on a building permit. So that's just one example of us tailoring it to your project's needs. Maybe it's just zoning, whatever it is. Maybe it's just stormwater. We will do that. Also, begin the incentive discussions. Oftentimes it gets real scattered and people are talking to you about different incentives. There might be different people within our office that are in charge of different incentives. Maybe it's a neighborhood empowerment zone. Maybe it's brownfield redevelopment authority money. Maybe it's a tax abatement. Those initial conversations with me will allow everything to work a little bit smoother with our internal staff and not feel so discombobulated. Um, then we'll assist you in getting connected and ready for the next steps. I'm really working to try to come up with a plan of action for your project. What are your next steps? How does it work? What are the questions that you have or we have from staff perspective? So really trying to streamline it a little bit more. Jamie, thank you. So different in 2025, I'm your dedicated service rep. You'll meet with me. You'll no longer be reaching out to individual staff to get the answers. Um, we think it's going to be very fruitful for your project and your teams at various agencies. Um, Also, you'll not be able to just schedule a project review meeting on the website anymore. You have to have that intake meeting with me, first of all, so that we can get the appropriate staff into a project review meeting for you and get you the answers that you need. Um, if your major concern is zoning, as I said, then we'll have the zoning administrator on there. We don't need the stormwater administrator on there. So real cut and dried. Be happy to answer any questions later. You can reach out to me. And I think Jamie will go through that spiel at the end, but if not, that's it for pre-development for right now. And I will kick it to Emily and she can talk about checklist meeting and site plan review meeting.
Thanks, BJ, and good afternoon, everyone. Like Jamie had mentioned, my name is Emily Schmansky. I am the planner managing the site plan review process. And today I want to reintroduce the site plan and the two steps. The main changes for the two steps into site plan review is we are no longer using pre-site plan as the initial site plan meeting. So we are saying goodbye to pre-site plan and hello to checklist. And just like before, there's two meetings. So it will be checklist and then site plan review. And I can get into the specifics in the next few slides. So with the checklist meeting format, the pre-site plan is no longer the application that you need to fill out. So the checklist is focusing on the specific site plan review checklist items. The updated application is on the city's website. And the key changes is that there are no plans required anymore for a checklist meeting to be held. So you come prepared with any questions and identify the key areas that you would like to discuss. And the site plan review committee will be on the call to answer any and all questions, go through the specific checklist items. And at the end of the meeting on that Friday, following the Wednesday checklist meeting, I will provide the completed checklist with all code references so that you can use that as a deliverable or tangible thing as you're completing the plans for full site plan review. So the intent of this change is to minimize the number of plans that the committee has to review and also to be cognizant and aware of the costs associated and the time associated with making plans. So it's one less plan for the committee to review, but it's also one less plan for your team to provide. And so that's a key change because the plans were a requirement for pre-site plan review in the past. So next slide, please, Nolan. So digging into the checklist meeting a little bit more, this is a screenshot of the specific checklist items for stormwater. And so on your end, the applicant, if you have any specific questions regarding stormwater calcs or impervious coverage questions, if that triggers something in the code, you can simply check it off. And then during the meeting, the committee and I will know to focus on those. Of course, we will add other comments, and we'll go through item by item, each checklist item. So please come prepared to talk details. Staff will talk codes, and be cognizant that if the scope of work does change after the checklist meeting, another checklist meeting will be required. But this way is more streamlined and efficient for time, for cost, and to help you move your project along. Next slide, please, move. And then site plan review. This meeting is actually pretty much unchanged from the current format. So you still need a full solidified plan set, all additional documentation, such as CSI form, environmental report, stormwater calcs, all that good stuff. The key change is making sure that you know everything you need to know for checklists and applying that for full site plan review. That the trigger for full site plan review is having a complete, ready to go submittal. One other change I would like to touch on is that the site plan review civil engineer is a new position that the city is currently hiring for. This will increase the efficiency and the time that it takes for reviews, but also balancing that we know that all the site plan review committee members, they're balancing different hats, and they need to focus on some of the infrastructure work, and the site plan review civil engineer will focus on the plan. So they will be the pinpoint person for site plan review. So quicker turnaround time, more efficient, and really excited for that position. I also included a screenshot of the checklist again. It's the same checklist for checklist meeting and full site plan review, but the key difference is how you fill it out. So the checklist meeting was, if you have any high level questions, or if you want to talk about specific items, whereas the full site plan review checklist is specific information found on a specific plan sheet. So next slide, please, Nolan. And before I pass it off to Roger, I want to emphasize that the pre-site plan review in past required plans, and the checklist meeting doesn't. So if you have plans that you want to have the committee review, or you have questions, please reach out to PJ. That is before a pre-site or before a full site plan review submittal. So high level questions, an initial look at the plans, everything like that would be a PJ item to touch on. But once you're ready for a finalized meeting and hear the final review comments from the committee directly, then that's a full site plan review meeting. And with that, I will let Roger speak to the permits and occupancy.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending. I'm Roger Iverson. I'm the building official for the City of Kalamazoo. And it's not a lot of great big changes for permitting and occupancy, but some of the things we are doing and intentional is to bolster our staff with, we've added a building inspector, soil erosion control inspector. We've got a new electrical inspector, which was greatly needed. We were subbing that out to a third party, which wasn't the greatest, but got a desperate times calls for desperate measures. But and also we are in the effort to hire another mechanical inspector. So that's important. We're gonna get our staff up so you guys can get the level of service that you deserve. And PJ went over it. The next thing is with our new development administrator, which is PJ. He will help route your project to the appropriate staff, so you're not getting the runaround, or you come in, you're like, well, might come in through building, but we got to send it to zoning, which that's pretty normal. Or it might come in any kind of way. But now everybody's coming through what we're calling that front door, and it's just going to streamline the process and get everybody moving in the right direction from the beginning. So we're not trying to chase a piece here, chase a part there, gather this person. So that should be that should be good because you're not going back and forth trying to get 5 different people at 5 different times. They'll all be there at once. And the next step in the permitting process is not a mandatory step, but I do believe it will help facilitate the transition, a smoother transition from when you leave your site plan, it's approved, and now you're coming into the permitting stage of it, your development process, that you can go to a pre-construction review meeting and say, you're like, okay, what do I do next? You got you got to do some demo of an existing building, and you need to put a 40-yard dumpster out in the street. You're like, who do I talk to for that? So this can help facilitate in this meeting. Okay, so you need a right-of-way permit for temporary dumpster in the right of way, whatever that might look like. So you'll have access to all of our trade inspectors in this meeting. So if you need to ask specific questions about electrical, plumbing, mechanical, whatever your specific questions are, you'll have those staff in the meeting to go over what it's going to look like and what your expectations are, as well as what our expectations will be. And we can set those parameters in that meeting, and it will help streamline the process. So I think that's kind of it, and I think it's going to go back to Jamie.
Yeah, well, thank you, Roger.
You're welcome.
So before we open it up to questions, I just wanted to do a bit of a recap and then let you all know what to expect moving forward here. Uh, Again, we really wanted to introduce you to the new development phase and this idea of the front door, and encourage you and really guide you to enter into our front door. We think there are a ton of benefits to this new idea that you can um, get right into our development process, right into pre-development, where you're just really registering, if you will. You're getting into the front door, you're signing up so that we know you have a project and that it's coming, that we know your main contact, and that we know a little bit about your project. That online intake form it's really fast to fill out. It's just taking in some initial information, again, so our staff kind of know what's in the pipeline, and we know that likely something's coming, and that initial intake with PJ is tailored to your project. It can be as short or as long as it needs to be, really depending on how much work has been done on the project and how complex the project is. We have applicants that come in that the project's really pretty straightforward. It might just, you know, continue right through the application process. Some are a little more complicated. They need some zoning approvals. They're going to other boards. They're getting variance requests, right? They may take a little bit more time. We have all types of projects that come through. And so pre development is just that opportunity to take 1 minute of like one step in the assessment phase to really have us understand and help a project understand what its path through the development approval process is going to look like. We wanted you to get familiar with the new checklist meeting. So, in site plan review, it's really the same 2 meetings, but the first meeting is changing just a little bit. And thank you, Emily, for telling us about those changes and the ways it's meant to really improve in 2025. So, glad to hear about those changes. You're already going to see those on the website. So, that's up and happening for 2025. I understand that we've already had a couple of checklist meetings already this year. That's great. We're excited to hear about the new site plan review engineer position that's in the process of being hired, and we're excited to see that onboarded for 2025. We think that's going to really hopefully open up some time for our reviewers and hopefully improve the review process for everyone involved. So that's exciting for 2025. And I just wanted to let you know we're really excited about hopefully continuing this dialogue with you all. We are opening up the opportunity to continue to hear the feedback that we've been hearing from our applicants. We want to continue to hear from you all this year as you experience these changes. We want to hear from you. So we're Um, we wanted to offer up the opportunity. PJ is scheduling one-on-one feedback meetings with the development community. If you want to get some time on PJ's calendar to have a sit-down meeting with him, talk through experiences you've had, talk about opportunities that you see. Um, Reach out to PJ, or if you want to drop a note in the chat in the Q&A box, you can do that. Simply let him know that you want to get on his schedule, and he will reach back out to you. So let him know you want a one-on-one meeting. You can do that today or reach out to him separately. We are scheduling those into 2025. You are also going to be getting a follow-up email. So check for that in your inbox. In that email, you're going to see links to some of the websites and resources we talked about today. We'll send out this recording in case you want to see anything that you or revisit anything that you heard today. We'll also send out this slide deck as well, so you can revisit anything that you saw today. We're also going to, well, at least something we heard a couple of weeks ago when we had our in-person session. We heard some requests and some ideas that were floating around about some potential trainings in 2025. So we're going to look into that, and we'll certainly be sharing some future opportunities that we heard about. Um, and then we also want to continue again this dialogue. And so we are going to be asking some questions and hopefully doing some more of this. Engagement. We had a really great in-person session. We'd like to kind of keep that channel open, and so we'll continue with the emails just to uh, keep in touch in 2025 and beyond. So with that, I wanted to open it up. I'm not sure if we have any questions right now, Bobby. I will open that up.
So far, there are no questions.
I was curious if there was anything maybe from the in-person session a couple of weeks ago we wanted to touch base on. We have a couple more minutes till 12:30, and we could try to cut it off then and give everybody a little time back during their lunch break here. I guess I had one thing on as far as the intake, because that the intake form is new and pre-development, the idea of coming through the front door is new. One thing I heard PJ say is when you fill out this form, um, it could be he's going to reach back out to you, and it could result in something like an insight or an on-site visit. Is something like the on-site visit required? What is required when you fill out that form? Are there other options? And I wanted to throw that out, PJ, if you could tell us anything more about is anything required? What has to happen when you fill out that form?
What has to happen is I have to get back to them within 48 hours, which I will. Oftentimes I find a on-site meeting to be very helpful for not only the applicant slash developer, but also for me and for staff. Sometimes I see things that could be a red flag or something that needs to get dealt with. Sometimes we'll be talking about the project and something else will come up. Um, it's not required to have an on-site meeting, but I'm going to always ask if we can have an on-site meeting. How's that, Jamie?
Yeah, so not required if you were developing a vacant lot or weren't quite to the point of an on-site visit making sense, you could have a phone call or a meeting in our office. There's alternatives, there's options.
Absolutely. Or electronic over Teams or whatever. Sure. Yep.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions or things that came up during our last session that you would like to ask of other staff or you'd like to bring up?
Yeah, I want to reiterate what Emily said in her conversation, in her portion of this, in that the checklist meeting is not a plan review. And so if you want your plan reviewed with certain regulatory experts within the city, you need to get with me and we'll schedule a project review meeting. And at that point, we can go over any aspects of the plan which you, the development professional or developer, have concerns about. Um, hers is merely a checklist meeting for your final submittal for site plan. And so if you want staff to talk about it, if you want to talk about some stormwater or transportation or whatever it may be, then we need to schedule a project review meeting, and that should come through me, the development administrator. And that's all I have.
Okay. Yeah. And Emily, the checklist is that meeting is it's an application that's live online now.
Yes, so it's been posted for a few weeks. This is the third week going into checklists. Great feedback so far, and it has been well received. The checklist application, the site plan application, and then helpful resources are all on the city's webpage, specifically the site plan webpage. And
Excellent.
I created a resource list. So if there's the street typology or stormwater information, you can have a one pager with all that information. So
Great. We'll include that in the email that goes out, direct link to all of that information.
perfect.
Okay. Well, Bobby, if we don't see any additional questions, I will follow up with an email and we will reach out and
Yep,
thank
no more
everyone.
questions.
All right. Well,
No
we'll
more
thank
questions.
everyone for their time. I appreciate you joining us for lunch today.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.